Yo, ladies and gentlemen, Strom back here with another video. This time it is on 119 because now we have the frogs, which means we can gather their poop lights and decorate with their poop. It sounds so weird. This setup right here for breeding frogs, and then also we're going to talk about transporting frogs via shulker boxes. It's not clickbaity, I promise, because we're technically going to get frogs out. So it's going to be tadpoles in the shulker boxes, but just stick with me here. But back in the pre-releases, I actually released a video on the frog farm for the frog lights. So for those of you who don't know, you can go ahead and check out that video. I'm going to put a link down in the video description. But basically, when a magma cube is eaten by a frog, the frog drops one of these frog light blocks. And there's also a purple variant. There is also an achievement for getting all these different colors. So it's definitely something to work on. Now, this farm that I made in the snapshots, it still works in 119, so you absolutely can do it. However, there are a couple of things I mentioned. One, you do need access to the nether roof, so if you're on Bedrock or you're on a server that doesn't allow access to the nether roof, you're kind of out of luck there. Also, if you're on a server and anyone else is online in the overworld, what's going to happen is your magma cubes are going to despawn while you're AFKing. So you may actually want to get a setup like this where you're using a magma cube spawner inside of a bastion, and then you just keep the frogs in the nether. You just put hoppers under trapdoors, and then you're good to go. You know, have those go to a chest. You don't have to worry. You just make sure you're obviously somewhere safe to AFK, and you're good. So even if you're on a server that has no access to nether roof, or as players in the overworld, you don't have to worry about your magma cubes despawning. They're going to hit the powdered snow. They're going to die, and then the little baby ones are going to be left for the frogs to eat up and get you your frog lights. However, what do you do when you get ready to go build your farm? You go through your portal, and it's nowhere near where you want to be. Well, you can put a frog in a boat. You could put a frog in a minecart. You can get to follow you by holding slime. But if you've got a long distance to go in the nether to get where you found your bastion, this is going to be a problem. So this video is going to have two things. One is going to have this little mini frog factory on it. And then it's going to have the process that we're going to use to be able to transport frogs inside of shulker boxes. Once again, technically tadpoles, but what we're going to do is we're going to get the tadpoles, we're going to put the buckets of tadpole in the shulker box, and then we're going to make sure that we can drop them into the nether and they don't die before they turn into a frog. So if you didn't know, you can actually force feed a tadpole some slime balls, and that will increase its growth rate. It will reduce its growth time from the 20 minutes by 10% each slime ball you feed it, until eventually you can turn into a frog almost instantaneously. But that took a little bit of time there. So the problem is in the nether you can't have water. So if I was to place down a fresh bucket of tadpole, that tadpole is going to pop out. But I cannot feed him slime fast enough. Maybe you could with a, fast right-click script. But I cannot right-click him fast enough in order for him to grow up before he dies of suffocation. However, what we can do is we can pre-feed the tadpole some slime balls, and then we can drop him down in the nether and be able to feed him enough that he does grow up before he dies of suffocation in the nether. And the frogs have no problem being in the nether, so it's just the tadpoles. So I'm going to go into survival for this. We're going to go into survival mode there. I'm going to put him down, and I'm going to feed him a stack of slime balls. Now, that sounds expensive. Also, look down in the video description. I'm going to show you a link to Ilmango's latest swamp slime farm that he just released for 118 and above, so that will work in 119. And as quick as possible, we want to get him picked back up. Now we can put him in our shulker box, and we can repeat that same process to a shulker box. You don't have to use a shulker box. You can put it in a chest boat, put it in your under chest, whatever. I'm just saying these don't stack, so you can carry them this way. Then we can take our shulker box of tadpoles and our shulker box of slime. We're not going to need a full shulker of slime. What you're going to need is about 16 slime per tadpole. And that will usually be a little less depending on how long you let that tadpole sit in water before you picked it up with a bucket. So if you went out and picked up these tadpoles just from the wild, they could have been, at 19 minutes of growth time or at 15 minutes of growth time, in which case hitting them with slime right now could have grown. So we're going to go over the breeding setup in just a little bit. But now you can head to the location where you want to have the frogs. You can put down your shulkers. Let's get some tadpole. And as soon as we put it down, that water is going to evaporate like we saw. And we want to get ready to start feeding him slime balls quick. And now we have a frog. I would recommend that you use glass around the area you want to do it. As you saw in that last one, the frog actually grew up into the blocks surrounding it, and that can happen occasionally. So by putting the glass around it, even if it glitches into a block, it's gonna take any suffocation damage. Now, for those of you like building with purple, this is great news because when you do this in the Nether, you're going to get all warm frogs out of the tadpoles, which means you just get the pearlescent froglights, i.e. purple poop. And no matter what biome you're in the Nether, you're going to get those warm ones because obviously all the Nether biomes are warm. So on screen now is a screenshot from the Minecraft wiki showing what biomes the frogs have to grow up in from tadpoles in order to be those variants. And you can see over on the right-hand column there, all of the Nether biomes are there. So that's really not going to work if we want the purple blocks. If you want the yellow or the green blocks, you're going to have to get a way to either bring those frogs to the Nether as frogs when they've grown up, or bring your magma cubes to the overworld. However, you can do the same thing in one of those other biomes to get that other variant. Just bring the tadpole over with it and then grow it up into a frog. Now to breed new frogs, what we need to do is we need to get 2 frogs, we need to get slime balls, feed them, and then we need to wait for them to find a water source block they're going to place on the frog spawn. Their pathfinding is absolutely horrible. Then we need to wait for this frog spawn to grow up, which can be up to 10 minutes, even though you can breed every 5 minutes. And then you can get up to 6 tadpoles, and then you need to apparently go find them in the river and hope that nothing else is... I lost one. So I don't like this, obviously, at all. So we're going to build this setup. And again, check out that post on the wiki to see what biome you need to build this in to get the type of frogs that you want. So what we have here is we have a nice little way to keep 2 frogs contained, separated from each other so that we always know that we're going to hit one of them with that slime ball, but they can also still see each other. So I'm going to turn on hitboxes here. We can see their hitbox is just tall enough that on top of the stone cutter, it still hits that top block and that trapdoor so they can't get through. But because their blue line is just below that block, they can still see each other. So if we feed them slime ball there, they can still look at each other in the eyes and make babies. And then placed on frog spawn, because they're on top of these that are not a full block, they can still reach that water. But we don't have to wait for them to pathfind to it because they're already right next to water sources. We also have 2 water sources next to each frog. Because, like I said, it can take up to 10 minutes for those to spawn. We want to make sure that when we come to rebreed them again after the 5 minutes, we still have another place for the new frog spawn eggs to go. And then we have observers on each of these that are just in a toggle state. So when a frog lays a frog spawn, it will pull down the corresponding observer. When that frog spawn hatches, that will trick off the observer and push this one back up. And you can do whatever notification system you want. I just have a lamp here and a note block. You could have a bunch of note blocks, whatever you want to do there. Again, we do need to make sure that this is not half slabs in there, because the frog is short enough that it's exactly 0.5 blocks so it can get out if there's a half slab. And then instead of having a contained frog, you've got frogs on a loose. So since these water sources are blocked off with a stone cutter, our frogs cannot get into there and escape from their chambers, but they still have access to lay their frog spawn, as we saw. Then we have the water flowing down into these open fence gates, so tadpoles will swim around in that water, and then on randoms they'll also swim down and then swim out to the side, and they'll fall out into this water, as we can see here. Unlike the issues with axolotls, tadpoles seem to be very consistently staying inside of water once they land in there, so they can just stay in here. At this point, once the notification has gone off that a tadpole has grown from a frog spawn, you can either come inside and start bucketing them up, or if you just want to have yourself a frog farm and just grow adult frogs wherever you are, what I've done is I've surrounded this with powdered snow, that as the tadpoles grow up, and let me just summon in some almost grown baby tadpoles, they'll then look to get out of the water and pathfind over on top of the powdered snow where they then fall through. They can't get back up then because if they try and jump through the powdered snow just like we have over here, they won't make it all the way through the powdered snow and can't get back on top of these blocks. So now we know that we've sorted out all the tadpoles are going to be here, adult frogs are going to be here. This could also be scaled up. You can just increase the number of chambers that you put up there with the adult frogs in it and just increase the size of the area on the bottom. You could also, if you found a place that has 2 biomes that you want right next to each other, just build a copy of this next to each other and have that in that area where you would then be ready to start breeding them. And then you can either pull out your frogs, or you could set this up. Maybe you've just found the right portal outside of your basalt delta and you want to just have a couple of these so that you can just have them go into the portal and go right into the kill chamber in there, or you're going to build the overworld version. Either way, I still think this is useful just to control that AI of those frogs that are just going rogue. So that's going to be it for this video. If you are really interested in frogs, keep an eye out. I do want to keep working on ideas to make this a more automated system of a farm. Unfortunately, that's going to be pretty challenging because you have both the slime that you need and the bucket mechanics. Yeah, it's going to be a little rough, but check out the video description. There will be a world download for this. If you need that slime, I'm going to put a link to both Il Mango's recent slime farm in the swamps video, as well as my 3 levels of slime. This is just kind of a quick and dirty, getting it up right now. Maybe we'll see a 3 levels of Froglight farms in the near future. Who knows? Wink, wink. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Bye.